Hi Year 12, just like I said, Wendy's come from UAC today to tell you all about the information that you need to know in order to apply for university this year to commence next year. All right, so over to Wendy.
Hello students, thank you for having me here today. I understand that you're going to be watching this from the comfort of your home, so hopefully I can give you a really good understanding about the ATAR and also about the application process. So just to get started, I'm going to play a short video.
Dreams. We're all born with them. Dreams to create, to explore. Dreams of adventure, of mind-blowing experiences, of finding a sense of purpose, meaning, something bigger than ourselves, of reaching our full potential, of discovering an almost insatiable thirst for knowledge, of taking risks and grabbing hold of all the opportunities and crazy possibilities that life throws our way, of securing a better life for ourselves and for the people we love. The only limit to the reach of our dreams is the belief in our own potential. And wherever your dreams take you, your journey starts with UAC.
So what is UAC? UAC stands for University Admission Centre. We're actually owned by all the universities in New South Wales and ACT, and we have to do what they want us to do. So part of our job is to process applications for them. So when you apply through UAC, you'll be applying for undergraduate courses. They're usually bachelor degrees. So you'll jump online, we look after these applications. Sometimes we will look after diploma applications. Some universities offer diplomas as well as bachelor degrees. We also look after three other kinds of applications. They're our access schemes. One is the school recommendation scheme, which is an early entry scheme. Number two is an educational access scheme. If you've had a disadvantage while studying in Year 11 and Year 12 and it's beyond your control, you can apply for adjustment points. The third scheme under our access trio is the equity scholarships, and that's to apply for money to get you to university and keep you there. Most importantly though, we calculate ATARs for New South Wales students. Okay, it's really great for you to have an understanding firstly about the differences between the HSC and the ATAR. They are both measures of achievement. One is all about how you've performed and one is all about how you've positioned. So on the 15th of December this year, you'll jump on the NESA website and you're going to download your HSC results. It's going to have all your different courses with marks out of 100 and your performance bands. Make sure you download it and save a copy because then you won't have to pay for it in the future if you require it in a year's time. With your ATAR, you're at 1 p.m. on the 15th of December, you're going to download your ATAR from our website. It's going to tell you one number and that's all about how you've positioned against every other student in this state. Now, these results can look quite different. So you may download your HSC results and you think, fantastic, I've got really great marks, but then you may download your ATAR and think, well, it's a pretty average ATAR, what's going on? And we get a lot of calls with this same question. To explain this a little further, we try to use the analogy of students all competing against each other in a race. So just imagine all students in the state are lined up at a start line, you're amongst them, the gun goes off, you run your heart out, you get to the end of the race and you're ecstatic because you have run your personal best time. But once you catch your breath, you look around and think, hang on a minute, my personal best time has actually landed me in the middle of the pack. So there's lots of students around me that have got that same time. It's a bit like that with the ATAR. Your best results in a course, they may be best in the school, may not position you anywhere near first, second or third in the state. Just like in a running race, your best time may not position you anywhere near the winner of that race. So you've just got to keep in mind your ATAR is where you've positioned against everyone in the state. Your HSC results is about your performance with NESA standards. Now, what can you do to get a better ATAR? Well, just like if you were training for a race, you would train really, really hard to get your best time, because that can impact on how you finish in the race, where you're positioned. It's like that with the HSC. You need to study as hard as you can, get great results in your assessments, because just a few marks can actually impact how your final ATAR result, or your position. Okay, so what is an ATAR? ATAR stands for Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank. It's all about a rank, a position. As I said, it's an overall position. It's a number between 0 and 99.95. Last year there was only 46 students that got the 99.95. The sole purpose of this ATAR is so universities can rank and select students for their courses. In saying that, there are other criteria universities use. They might combine your ATAR with a personal statement as part of the selection criteria, or an interview. But the ATAR for universities is the best indicator of how a student is going to perform in their first year of studies at university. Universities want to select the correct students for their courses. They don't want to take students that may find it too difficult to do a particular course in their first year. If you don't get your dream ATAR to get into a course, you've got to remember there is always a pathway if you're determined into the course you want to get into. Okay, scaling. People hear a lot about scaling, but I'm here to dispel some of the myths. Why, what, why, and how? Well, it's the first step that we do in calculating your ATAR. The reason we need to do this is because all students in New South Wales don't undertake the same courses. Now, we wouldn't need to scale if every single student did exactly the same course. Remembering ATAR is about a position, we could just compare all your results in all your courses and rank you, line you from first to last place. But you don't do the same courses. Last year, there was more than 26,000 different combinations of courses that were completed by Year 12 students. 20,000 of those were unique combinations, which I always think is a crazy number, but there were 20,000. So how do we look at all the different results in all the different courses that you're all completing and then compare them and then rank you? Well, we have to create a level playing field. So the only way we can do that is by using an algorithm, which is 119 equations, and that is actually the scaling process. We have 119 equations because there's 119 courses that students can choose from. Obviously, you wouldn't have 119 courses at your school, but they're out there. So the scaling algorithm, actually when it creates this level playing field, it calculates what your results would be if every single student studied the exact same course for all those 119 equations. It just allows us to compare everyone's results fairly. So imagine you got a 90 in physics and you also got a 90 in, say, visual arts. Those 90s have completely different meanings. They can't just be compared outright because the content of those courses is so different. So we can't say that they have the same meaning, and we can't compare them equally unless they go through this scaling process. So a good example to think about, something very similar, is when you think about currency. We all know that an Australian dollar and a US dollar, they don't have the same value. We can't just say that they're equal. It's just like that with all your courses. We can't say that those results in different courses have the same meaning, just like we can't say the value of different currencies is equal. So, just like with currencies, we use the tool of exchange rates, and that allows us to compare those different currencies with all the different courses. It's the tool of the algorithm that's allowing us to compare everything fairly. Now, it sounds really complicated, but it's not going to advantage you or disadvantage you having this algorithm. And we have this because we wanted to encourage students to undertake courses in Year 11 and Year 12 that they're good at and they like, because there's no advantage or disadvantage because you've chosen one course over another. And that's what the scaling algorithm does. It's no student is advantaged or disadvantaged because what they have decided to undertake in Year 12. And just as an example, we had one of the 99.95s last year. They had undertaken visual arts. Another one had done English as a second language. So it doesn't matter what course you do, you've just got to do well in your HSC. Okay, just some truths about scaling. A lot of people will say, oh, you know, physics scales high, or, you know, Aboriginal studies doesn't have a high scaling, so I'm not going to get a great ATAR. That's completely not true. When you hear those things, people are just referring to the fact that they've heard somewhere that, you know, those courses have a high scaled average. So they're actually talking about the strength of the competition. So the students that are studying those courses. So for instance, when you do hear chemistry or physics has a high scaled mean, they've probably gone onto our website and looked at our report, and they've seen that the average academic ability of students in those particular courses is quite high. So just like in maths, if you had 10 numbers that were high and you average them, you have a high average. With a course like Aboriginal Studies, that has a lower scaled mean or average because the average academic ability is varied of those students. Again, in maths, if you had high numbers and a few low numbers and average them, you'd have a low scaled mean. It's not telling you that because you've taken that course, you're automatically going to get a high or a low ATAR. It's how well you've done. It's just telling you about the strength of the competition within that course. Remembering you need to get above average HSC results to get an above average ATAR. So it's relevant what course you've taken, you've just got to do well of it. Remember, you're competing with every other student in the state. Okay, after we've actually run that massive algorithm of 119 simultaneous equations, we get scaled marks for all your courses. Those scaled marks are what allows us to compare everything on that level playing field. So we get these scaled marks, so all your units are broken into single units, and we take your best 2 units of English first, then your next best 8 remaining units. So if you're doing a Category B course, we can include 2 units of Category B, if they're your best scaled marks. If you're doing, say, 13 units or 11 units, everything's broken into single units. We take your best 2 units of English and then your next best 8. So it's possible if anyone here is doing 4 units of English, they could be included in the calculation of your ATAR. We always try to maximise your ATAR for you. Okay, we just show this table. I'll only go through 2 of the different courses. So you can see that students last year that undertook a variety of courses have achieved very high ATARs. So if we look at the columns, we've got your courses in the first column, median band, that's the middle band of achievement students. The median mark, that's telling you if you lined every single student up in that course, right in the middle, that would be the middle mark. 50% would have achieved higher, 50% would have achieved lower. The HSC mean is the average mark of students. The scaled mean, that's the algorithm doing its thing, creating the level playing field. The maximum ATAR are achieved by a student where one of these courses was included in the calculation of their ATAR. So if we just look at 2, industrial technology, the median band is a band 3. Their marks between 60 and 69. The middle mark was 69. The HSC average was 68.6. The scaled mean, that's telling us about the cohort of students that did that course. It's quite low. All that's telling us is that the average academic ability of students was varied. It's not telling us you can't achieve a very high ATAR, and we can see this student got an excellent ATAR, 98.25. If we look down at English Advanced, the median band is a band 5. Straight away I can tell you there's a high academic student within this course, because a band 5 are marks between 80 and 89. And if we have a look at the HSC mean, it's 81.2. That's an average mark, a really high mark But if you're getting that mark, you're in the middle of the pack in that running race. If you want to get a high ATAR, you need to be getting marks above the averages. So average ATAR would translate to average marks. However, this student here was one of the 46 that got 99.95. Look, students, see us at expos and at schools and they say, oh, I'm doing hospitality, I'm not going to get a very high ATAR. Not true. We had a student that got 97.65. Again, they would have had to probably get marks well above this average. So if you look at all these numbers with these students' high ATARs, how did they get these high ATARs? Well, in all cases, they would have got HSC marks well above the averages in the 90s, not just for one of their courses, but all their courses. Remember, ATAR is a position where we're looking at all your courses and we're ranking every student from high to low. So you need to be getting these high results in all your courses. Now, my last information slide about the ATAR is a really, really valuable one because it's going to show you the relationship between your HSC results, which is your performance, and your ATAR, which is all about your position. So we just have a look at two students. We've got Fred and Laura. Fred here, he's done a selection of courses and he's got marks of 70 in all of them. So when he downloaded his HSC results, he would have seen all the courses with 70s and then his band of achievements. When he downloaded his ATAR, he got 58.7. Laura's worked a little bit harder and she's got all marks of 80. But if we look at her ATAR, it's a lot different, 78.7. So what's going on? Let's look at them side by side. Okay, we can see here, Fred, we'll look at it two courses, with a mark of 70 in biology. That HSC mark, his performance, has placed him in the 42nd percentile. So that's telling us that 58% of students got a higher mark than 70 in biology. Whereas Laura, just a few little extra marks, 10 little extra marks, has bolstered her position. She's placed in the 71st percentile, so only 29% of students got a better mark. If we look down at English Advanced, because earlier we were speaking about how there's a high academic student that completes this course, we can see that poor old Fred with a mark of 70 is placed in the bottom 10%. 90% of students got a higher mark than Fred. Whereas Laura, 10 extra marks, it's bolstered her position. She's still below the average, but she's placed in the 43rd percentile. So only 57% got a better mark. And English is important because we need 2 units of English in the calculation of the ATAR. So overall, if we look at all Fred's results, he's placed in the bottom 50th percentile. And Laura, she is mostly placed in the top 50th percentile. There's 12 units there. We probably would use the visual arts in the calculation. And if we look at their ATARs, they're both either side of the middle ATAR. The median ATAR last year was 69.75. So bottom 50th percent is on the lower side of that 69.75. And top 50% is on the higher side of the 69.75. Now students always say, why isn't the median ATAR 50? Now, if every single student that started in year 7 went on to complete year 11 and 12, it would be. But the more academic students like yourself are completing the HSC, and your HSC marks are usually between 50 and 100. So a middle mark is around 75. Now, this is a really great slide to inspire you all, hopefully. Your ATAR comprises of 50% assessment marks, so the school and your teachers have to report your assessments to NESA, because NESA can't be there watching you, and 50% exam marks, so every single student in the state is doing the same exam. And they're averaged, then we get that and we run it through our mathematical model for your ATAR. It's never too late to try and get those extra few marks. Now, I've seen this firsthand. My son, he was a Fred, he was getting marks, assessment marks of about 71 in advanced English. He worked really, really hard before his exams. He's more of a science kid, so he wrote lots of essays and got feedback from his very kind English teacher. And in his exam, he got a mark of 89. So when that's averaged, it actually boosted him out of a band 4 into a band 5, and it would have impacted his ATAR. Because as we can see, a few extra marks can make a difference. The other thing is, if you've worked as hard as you can and you know in your heart you have, that's great, because you can always get into university and then transfer into your dream degree in second, third year, even if it's postgraduate studies, and we see this all the time. The reason why it's great to work hard is because you've built up your academic muscle, because once you hit university, you're going to have to work really hard at a whole new level. So look, I see it all the time. Just a quick example. My husband teaches economics, that's in the university. He had a student get into a Bachelor of Arts course, and the lowest ATAR to get into Sydney is 70. So this student did a Bachelor of Arts, and within an arts you can do any courses. He chose an economics class, loved it, ended in second year transferring into a Bachelor of Economics, and my husband ran into him on the train and started chatting and found out in his third year he transferred into a double degree, law and economics. Now this student at school, there is no way he would have dreamt of getting into law. Even economics is a 90. A law would be a lot higher and very competitive. So you can always work your way into a degree. Once you find your thing, a lot of people mightn't peak until they hit university, but you have to work hard, and the universities make it pretty easy for you to transfer. You have to achieve a certain level of result to do it, but you do it through the portal. Anyway, hopefully I've inspired you to work really hard just to get those extra few marks with your ATAR. Gives you a lot more choice. Okay, so applying through UAC. All U12 students, you're going to be receiving your UAC PIN very soon. You're also going to get your UAC guide. It will be available online as well as a soft copy, but we send out a guide to every single student in the state, so you'll have to speak to your careers advisor about when you can pick that up. Okay, so applying to uni, we have 4 things that we want students to just start thinking about. So prepare, then you can apply, manage, and everyone's favourite is accepting. Okay, our timeline of events, we'll just go through quickly. 1st of April, so before that you'll have your PIN to apply. Applications will open, April Fool's Day. Unfortunately, that's the 1st of April. If you're going to apply for early entry, which is the school recommendation scheme, and I really strongly advise you all to do that, you need to have that application in by the 20th of September. 30th September, please submit your application by this date, because there's an early bird fee of $70 to apply. After that, it goes to $200. Please don't pay $200. Pop your application in before this date. You can change your courses as many times as you wish. Last year we had a student that changed their courses 86 times, so it's possible. In October, you're all doing your exams to work as hard as you can and get those few extra marks to help boost your position. November, if you've applied for early entry, you may get an offer either on the 12th or the 26th of November. You can also accept that offer and then try for an ATAR-based offer in December. Also, if you're thinking about applying for those extra adjustments because you've had a disadvantage and you need to put in an EAS application, we need that by the 20th of November. December, your ATARs are released. Make sure you download and save a soft copy on your computer somewhere. You do have until midnight on the 17th to change your mind about your courses, and then the system will lock, process and release the first ATAR-based offers on the 21st of December. All this information is going to be in your guide. Inside cover of your guide has got all the key dates. So to prepare, look, we've got these 3 things. There will be hopefully open days. The universities usually have them later in the year, so hopefully they will be available to you all and still going ahead. You can jump on their website, so they're all going to start recording videos and showing students all the different faculties and the different options. So start researching their websites, look at the different courses on their website. You might think, I want to be an engineer, what if I don't get the ATAR? Well, it's great to start researching a backup plan. So for that instance, you may start with a Bachelor of Science and then do all the similar courses that you would have done in engineering and then transfer in. So if you do get the opportunity to go to an open day, it is great to ask the academics about backup plans. And then in your application, you can have your dream course and then your backup plans listed. Check for additional selection criteria. So you may want to be a teacher. So part of the criteria, they don't just look at the ATAR, they want to know why you want to be a teacher. And you have to answer a question about why. Last year, somebody did say they wanted to be a teacher because they wanted all the holidays, and it was rejected. So you do get a chance to rewrite your statement. If you're thinking about like a visual arts type degree, you might have to provide a portfolio. Anyone that wants to be a doctor, they would already most likely know that they have to do a UCAT test and have an interview. So have a look on our website. Also on the university websites, they have very up-to-date information about their courses. Okay, if you're still not sure, you can jump onto our website. We have a program called Course Compass. You can actually enter in the courses you're doing now, and it's going to come up with suggestions of degrees. And we get the data from past students, so students like you, and what courses you have done or they have done, and what they're doing now at university. So I'll just play this video.
Still not sure what uni courses to apply for? Course Compass can help. There's a lot to think about when choosing what to study, your interests and abilities, whether you can meet eligibility criteria, and the exciting career opportunities once you graduate. Wouldn't it be really helpful and even fun to find out what paths have been taken by people whose studies at school were just like yours? Well, now you can tap into the wealth of UAC applicant data available using Course Compass. Course Compass is built on the experiences of over 100,000 recent UAC applicants using the Year 12 courses they completed, the ATAR they achieved, and the fields of study they were offered at uni. As you can imagine, there are very few applicants with identical data. For a start, each year almost 20,000 New South Wales students complete a unique combination of HSC courses. Therefore, finding linear connections between Year 12 courses, ATARs and offered fields of study used to be like finding a needle in a haystack. Not anymore. Using machine learning techniques, Course Compass has been trained to intelligently find and predict the connections. So, when you add your own data to the mix, Course Compass can show you the fields of study offered to applicants just like you. Course Compass, helping you find your way to uni. Try it now at uac.edu.au/Course Compass.
This is a really good tool to use because there might be a degree that you've never thought of. I had a student that loved biology, wanted to work with animals, and she found a degree that Sydney University have. It's a science degree and it's in conjunction with Taronga Zoo. So sometimes you have to use this to see even what's out there. The other thing, just before I go on, is if you do start a degree, you can always change your mind into a different degree. Sometimes you don't know what degree is really for you until you actually start at university. Okay, to apply, 1st of April applications open. So once you get your PIN, you'll apply with your NESA number and your UAC PIN. You can list up to 5 different courses in this application. You need to list them in the order that you want them considered. So put your most favourite course as your first choice, and then your next favourite is your second, maybe a couple of backups. You could have 5 different universities, so say you wanted to do accounting. You could have one at Western Sydney, one at Macquarie, one at Sydney, but list them in the order, like put your favourite university as your first choice. You don't have to have 5 straight away to apply. You could put one course, go and make the payment, submit your application, go back at any time and add new preferences, delete them, move the order around. From the 1st of April, not all degrees will be available for you to select because the universities are still deciding on what they're going to offer in 2021. In August, all the courses will be there. So some students just put a couple of courses just to get their application submitted so they can apply for the school recommendation scheme and do the other equity applications as well. And once you apply, you do get issued with a UAC number and you use your PIN to apply for the access schemes. Okay, so the first access scheme that we process on behalf of the institutions is the Educational Access Scheme. If you've had something that's impacted you for longer than 6 months in Year 11 and Year 12, you can apply for this scheme. We have 9 different categories. Within those categories, there's about 27 different codes that you can select from. So apply for your courses first, then use your numbers to apply for this online. Choose as many categories as you feel you're eligible for. So there's things like financial disadvantage, excessive family responsibility, say someone may have been ill in your family or yourself, there's codes for those things as well. So you can apply for as many as you feel you're eligible. At the end of the application, you're prompted to download a package. If there's something that you need to give UAC, like a personal statement, or have your school support your application, or your doctor support your application, it would be listed on that form, and you can upload these things progressively. You don't have to upload everything in one hit, as long as we get it by the 20th of November. So, a lot of cases you might be able to do your personal statement, but it might take a while to get the doctor's statement that you can upload. If you apply for this, it could increase your selection rank. So say you haven't been well for longer than 6 months and it's impacted your performance at school, or you feel it has, you can apply for this. We at UAC would assess your application, looking at all your documents, and the universities would recognise, oh yes, this student's been impacted. So they might have got a higher ATAR if they hadn't had this to deal with. So they tend to give students between 1 and 5 adjustment points if they've been impacted and they've recognised it. So for instance, say you've got an ATAR of 70 and you've had to deal with this illness for longer than 6 months, you provide all the documentation and the university goes, yes, we can see this has happened to this student. They might give you 5 adjustments, so your selection rate would increase to 75. So that's how that works. That's why it's important to have a look at all the categories and apply for as many as you feel you're eligible. School recommendation scheme, I really strongly advise all students to apply for this. It is a way that universities can make offers, not based on ATAR. They use other criteria. So what happens, it's a very, very simple application for your students. It takes about 2 seconds to do. Submit your application through UAC, then jump online to the school recommendation scheme on our homepage, use your UAC number and your PIN, click a couple of boxes, and then that's it. It's going to actually look at what courses you have in your UAC application. So that's all the work you have to do for that. Then your school gets an email and they have to rate you on your academic abilities and aptitudes, and we access your Year 11 results. We provide those to the institutions and they determine if they're going to make you an offer or not, based on what they've seen. Sometimes they might look at just one particular aspect of that information. Sometimes they might just be looking, you might be wanting to do a visual arts degree, so they might just look how you went in that. So they don't actually tell you what they look at, but there's a lot of information about all the different courses on our website that is included in this scheme. Not all universities participate. There's a few that will give you, in November, will give you an unconditional offer, which means that they'd say, yes, we love what we found out about you, we're going to give you this offer, please enrol. Or the university might decide to give you a conditional offer. So they might say, we really want you for this course, but you need to meet this condition. And it's usually an ATAR that's a lot lower than the published selection rank. So once you meet the condition, it then turns into, a full-on offer. Equity scholarships, have a look at these on our website. There are other categories than financial, but most do go to students who are in some kind of financial need, like they're getting a sentiment payment. Again, it's just similar to the EAS. You enter your codes, you download the package, and then if there's something that you need to give UAC so we can assess it, we would request this on the package. So you provide your documents, and then you can apply for this every single year of your degree. We only look after one scholarship program for the universities, but they have lots of other scholarships on their website direct. For instance, Western Sydney has 3 different types. They're not all academic, and potentially you can actually get be awarded 3 different payments and still get this. So you can get more than one scholarship. Please look at their websites because the money is better in your pockets than theirs. Okay, to manage your application, you need to understand three things: selection ranks, adjustment factors, and your preferences. Okay, selection ranks. That's the rank that the universities are going to look at when they're making offers to their students. So when you look at your guide or any of the steps to study booklets that I've given to your school today, you'll see a LSR, lowest selection rank, next to a course. That is the number that the universities have used to make their offer. Selection rank could just be your ATAR. You mightn't have got any adjustments, but if you do get adjustments, it could be a combination of all these three things: ATAR adjustments, or ATAR adjustments and additional selection criteria like an interview, question, a portfolio. So there's 4 types of adjustments. These first two, subject adjustments and location, you don't have to apply for those. Subject adjustments. Say you get a band 5 or a band 6 in one of your courses, maybe it's physics or chemistry, and you want to do engineering. The universities will recognise your ability, that you got this great achievement of a band 5, and they'll give you extra adjustments, automatically done in the background of your application. Location adjustments. Some universities want to get a catchment of students around their universities, so that's an automatic adjustment as well. You can find out how many adjustments the universities give on their website. Western Sydney give 5 adjustments, Macquarie give 5, I think Wollongong give 4. So if you've got an ATAR of, say, 75 and you want to go to Western Sydney, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to have a selection rank of 80. Equity adjustments, they're the ones that you have to apply for yourself through the Educational Access Scheme. And if you've performed at a very high level, maybe you've represented the state or Australia in sport, or you've been a performer, you can apply for adjustments directly on the university website. They'll link that to your application. Most adjustments will be capped about 10, okay? You can sort of work out what you've got. You might have an ATAR 80, you might have got 1 band 5, you can go, okay, I'll probably get 3 adjustments from this university for subject adjustments, and maybe this many for location, so maybe this is my selection rank now. Okay, this is just briefly how selection ranks work. So for instance, a university has this imaginary degree here, and they have 3 spots available. 6 students have applied. How do they choose their students? They would just line up all the applicants from highest selection rank to lowest selection rank, and then they would just take the top 3. So the lowest selection rank for a Bachelor of Sandology would be 87. So when you read that lowest selection rank in your guide, it's just telling you the last person that was admitted into the course, that was their rank. Now we've had this quite often. Students might ring up and say, look, why did I get into the course? I know my ATAR was a lot higher than my friends. So if you look at applicant 4, ATAR was 86, applicant 3, ATAR was 83. We have to say to the student that calls us about this, your friend probably got adjustment points and you didn't. That's why they got in. But this is a pretty slim example. Most universities have hundreds of spots available within their course. Okay, so once you get your ATAR, we're jumping ahead quite a bit here, and you've researched all about the lowest selection rank, and it's in this step for study booklet, and it will be in your guide, also on our website. You can then think about your preferences. Be realistic. If you have an ATAR of 70, you're not going to get 20 adjustments. Maximum is usually around 10, but you could still put that as your dream course and then a couple of backups and work your way into your dream course while you're at university. Okay, monitor the close of preference dates. All the key dates will be on our Instagram, on our website, on the inside cover of your guide. So there's a table, and it's going to tell you the last day you could change your mind about your courses before the system locks, processes, then makes the offer. Okay, offers. If you receive an offer, please accept it. We advise students to accept all their offers because offers can expire and you can't get it back once it expires. So say you've applied for early entry, school recommendation scheme, you get an offer in November, accept it. Then you can pop it in your pocket, you've got your backup, maybe it is your backup plan. Then you can rearrange your choices and you can try for an ATAR based offer in December. So So say you want to go to the University of New South Wales to do engineering, that's your first choice, but you've got Western Sydney as your second choice and they've made you an offer in November. Accept that offer. You don't need to leave a degree where you've got an offer on your UAC list anymore. Once you've accepted it on the database of the university, so remove it off your UAC list. And then it frees all the preferences to be looked at under that one. So you can accept the Western Sydney, rearrange your preferences. You might have added, a couple of other different universities in there. Your ATAR may be released, will be released, and then you might get an offer to UNSW or another university. Then you can accept that offer as well. You'd have 2 accepted offers, then you can sit back and think, well, where do I want to go? If you decide you didn't want to go to Western Sydney, you would have to contact them just to let them know. And it's standard, happens all the time, so don't be scared of doing that. You'd have to contact them and just say, look, how would I withdraw from this course? I don't want to proceed with that offer. So receive an offer, accept an offer, and then remove that offer from your preference list. That preference list is to tell our computers what you want to be considered for. So once you get the offer, you don't need to be considered anymore. So take it from your list. And then you can try for another offer. Potentially you could get 2 school recommendation scheme offers in November. You could accept them. You might get another offer, ATAR base in December. There's 2 more offer rounds in January where you could receive offers, and also in February as well. Sometimes people apply for the school recommendation and that's their dream course. Fantastic, they can just accept and enroll. Okay, that's everything with the presentation. Please email us or phone us if you have any questions. Of course, you can speak to your careers advisor because careers advisors are up to speed with all this information. Follow us on Instagram. We have lots of key dates published, lots of interesting facts about the ATAR, as well as lots of great students, university students doing university things on campus there, as you can see. So thank you for having me and thank you for listening. It's a lot of information, but it will be in your UAC guide.